ma vie ce potentiel de lit.
Hi guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to do a casual chat video. I'm trying to make these videos shorter, and I had been trying to do that in the other videos as well, but they always end up much longer than I had expected them to be. So I wanted to do something just casual and speak about forgiveness as an energetic release. This is something that I have myself practiced this year and have found it to be so powerful. I realized that there is a big difference between saying that I forgive you or I forgive someone versus actually truly believing it and releasing that from our body. So I have spoken about this energy before, that everything in the universe at the basis is just atoms vibrating at a certain frequency. So everything is vibrating at a certain speed or in a certain style for it to look the way it does, including us human beings. We have an energy body. We are vibrating at a certain frequency, and you can call it your soul, your consciousness, your being, whatever resonates with you. At the foundation, it is energy that is running in our body. It is energy that is creating our physical body, and whatever we experience, the emotions that we experience, whatever good or bad, is basically an experience of energy inside our body, if that makes sense. So one thing which many of us do not consciously realize or are not aware of, because we're really not taught this in our schools, which was a revelation for me as well, is that we are in charge of our energy. Like, I am in charge of my frequency, I am in charge of my vibration, I control how I feel energetically. Everything that I have been speaking about in videos on this channel, minus the vlogs obviously, is to get us to consciously raise our vibration. Because the higher our frequency, the higher our vibration, the more elevated our emotions are going to be. So emotions like happiness, bliss, joy, euphoria, contentment, fulfillment, these are all emotions of a very high frequency. Whereas emotions like anger or depression or fear or resentment are of a lower frequency. So if we consciously raise our vibration, the better we are going to feel. So in order to feel better, in order to feel lighter, or in order to start vibrating at a higher frequency, we need to let go of energies that are holding us down, and healing ourselves from our past traumas is an essential bridge to get to the higher vibrations. Because if we're holding on to past traumas, past grievances, or energy that we have created within ourselves by being angry at ourselves, by criticizing ourselves, by not thinking we're good or we are worthy, all of that, it's all energy that is lodged inside our body and is holding us in this dense energy space, which is of a lower vibration. Before I continue, I am sorry that the lighting is changing so much. I think it's the clouds. It's the clouds that are going by in front of the sun and changing the light. It's not me. So let's begin with this concept or idea of forgiving ourselves, or having a more forgiving attitude towards ourselves. So a lot of us have a tendency to be critical of our own self, and I've spoken about this in the past, that it usually runs on autopilot, so we never realize that we are being harsh to ourselves or we're using a very mean tone towards ourselves. It's only through building self-awareness, it's only through detaching ourselves from our inner critic and observing our inner critic, that how does she speak to me, that's when we can see whether we are accepting and forgiving to ourselves, or we are harsh and unforgiving and overly critical. For example, you are at an event and you're having a conversation and you say something without thinking. It comes out wrong. It doesn't come out the way that you intended it to be. And immediately you start feeling minimized and you start criticizing yourself that, oh, I'm so stupid. How could I say that? That is creating an energy of resentment, is creating an energy of anger or of lack. Unless you are acknowledging it and releasing it from your body, it's going to stay in your body. Another example or another scenario could be that you are trying to make a decision between two options and you're just vacillating between the two options and you're unable to decide, and you find yourself getting agitated and you find yourself getting angry at your own self, that why can't I do this? What is wrong with me? Such reactions are coming from the mind because it has been trained to react like that. It has been trained to be reactive as opposed to being responsive. Usually when we are responding instead of reacting, it's coming from a much wider angle lens. But as soon as we react to something, it's coming from our mind because it's been trained to react like that. Anger, unacceptance, criticism, shame, disgust, these are all low frequency emotions and they consume a lot of energy. If you are consistently critical of yourself, or if you are consistently angry with somebody else, you would feel very physically tired and lethargic most of the time. Or if you're operating primarily from your mind, if you're living your daily life experience through your mind, where you're not really present in the moment, you're more in your mind, it's going to consume a lot more energy and you will feel consequently a lot more physically exhausted. But if you switch your narrative and you realize that it's okay that you said something silly, or it's okay that you're unable to decide right now, it doesn't matter. We're all learning here, we're all growing here, and you give yourself that space of acceptance and forgiveness. This narrative is vibrating at the frequency of love and compassion, which is of a higher vibration, which is of a higher frequency. In this, you're switching your source of operation from your mind to your heart, which is a portal to connect with your soul, with the universe, with the higher energy. You're not judgmental to yourself, you're being kind to yourself. This takes practice and courage. The more you do it, the more it will become your nature. And the more self-awareness you build like this, the more you will be able to see patterns in yourself or in the past where you have been critical and judgmental of yourself, you've been harsh on yourself. More things will surface in your energetic field and you will be able to release them. And this is enabling your spiritual evolution. I have been very critical of myself for many things, but primarily that I am not productive. I need to do more. Somehow I need to prove myself by doing as many things as I can. And I was being hard on myself, and obviously this was weighing me down until I just let that go. I was like, I accept myself, I love myself, and I am compassionate of myself in every situation. I took responsibility of the present moment, and however it was, without attaching any labels to it. And this enabled me to move forward with, peace and clarity and a sense of lightness. I wasn't having my brain cells or my energy cells being consumed by self-criticism. Once you align with love and compassion and empathy, it will feel wrong to be hard on yourself. I've already spoken about this before, but I do want to emphasize that we are primarily right now living in a mind-based society. And in order to evolve as spiritual beings, as human beings, we need to shift that focus down to our hearts. So we need to start operating more from our hearts. And this will enable us to embody and just become more gentle towards ourselves and the rest of humanity. Now, if we don't do this shift, and mind you, this shift is very gradual, it's not overnight. Once we start cultivating this shift, we start developing more self-awareness. And self-awareness is the tool that is required to catch ourselves if we are being mean or nasty to ourselves. Otherwise, without self-awareness, so many patterns, so many belief systems, so many limiting beliefs will be running in our psychology, controlling us, and we wouldn't even be aware of it. But in order to become aware of it, we need to consciously start operating more and more from our hearts as opposed to from our minds. This is where meditation is like an invaluable asset. Through meditation, we are able to detach ourselves from our thoughts, from our emotions, and just be able to observe our mind from an objective point of view. And we can see the patterns or the beliefs that are holding us in a non-compassionate energy and rewire our thoughts and our belief systems to be more kind and gentle and compassionate and empathetic, not just to us but also to others. But it will happen automatically. Once you cultivate these feelings of kindness and acceptance for ourselves, it will automatically resonate to other people as well. The lighting has changed so much, so I'm gonna fix this first. Okay, sorry about the light change, but hopefully, the content is heavier than the aesthetic of this video or stronger than the aesthetic of this video. Okay, moving on. The second kind of forgiveness is obviously forgiving someone else. And I know this is difficult, especially if the trauma is really harsh and really traumatic. If we are holding on to past grievances, it is literally like energy that is lodged inside our body. And the longer we hold on to grievances, the deeper that energy just settles in our body, and the harder or the more challenging it is to release it from our energetic system. Unless we consciously and intentionally make peace with the traumatic events of the past, that energy is not going to move. It's just sat there inside our body. And usually making peace with the past trauma means for us to feel those emotions, to feel the anger, the pain, the disgust, the shame, the confusion, whatever the traumatic event was, however it made you feel. The only way to heal that event or that trauma is to feel those emotions and release them. And while you are doing this, it is important to hold yourself in a very loving and compassionate space, because it's easy to feel really, victimized. It's easy to feel like, oh, why me? It's easy to get carried away in the victim mentality, but it's important to just hold ourselves with compassion and respect and courage, because consciously healing our emotional traumatic past it's not an easy thing. It requires a lot of courage. If you're going through that healing process, just acknowledge that to yourself and be, encouraging and loving to your own self. The longer the energy sits in your body, the energy of a past traumatic or difficult event, the longer you hold on to the anger or the shame or just the pain of it, the denser it becomes. So as time goes forward, this stuck energy can manifest as physical illnesses and mental illnesses. Like, imagine there's a corner in your room that you haven't cleaned for years, okay, or for a very long time. Obviously, it will accumulate dust, a lot of it, and maybe some spiders are now, just living there. It's probably giving you allergies because of the dust, or just at the base of it, it's not a pretty sight to look at. And maybe somebody else caused that dust, or maybe somebody else put you off that corner, so you're like, I don't want to clean it, it's not my responsibility, I didn't cause that mess. But it's still like, if you're living in that house, if you're living in that room, you are the person it is affecting. If you wish to get rid of that dust, if you wish to get rid of the energy of any past traumatic event, only you can do it. The first step is obviously to acknowledge that, okay, there might be some bad memories from my past that I have not dealt with. There might be traumas that I have not healed yet. If you find yourself consistently talking about a past event that hurt you, that means that trauma is still alive in you. Once you acknowledge it, that's like your step number 1 towards healing yourself. Yes, your pain is 100% valid, and it sucks that you had to experience something negative and something bad, and it sucks and it's shitty that someone else inflicted this pain on you. But you are doing much more harm holding on to these energies and these grievances, because it's only affecting your health. It's not causing any harm to the perpetrator. At the end of the day, we are responsible for our bodies, for our health. And once we, acknowledge that, okay, I have trauma XYZ lodged in my field and I want to heal it, it's automatically going to stimulate that energy. And obviously, when that energy becomes stimulated, you are going to feel it. That you're going to feel the bad emotions that you originally felt when you experienced that trauma. It's not going to feel good. You just need to allow those emotions to just pass through. You need to allow that energy to flow out of you. You can imagine that if you cleaned that dusty corner that hadn't been cleaned for years, obviously at first, a lot of dust is gonna fly out. Maybe some spiders are gonna come crawling out. But that's just a temporary effect. And as you let them pass, as you feel them fearlessly, holding yourself in a loving space, they're going to escape your energy field. And you're gonna feel a lot lighter. For traumas that are lodged deep inside us, usually traumas that are really old, they will take time to heal. And then something which is very essential, which you may not want to hear, you may not want to do, especially if the memories are really dark and depressing and negative, is that you need to forgive the person who caused that trauma. And again, not like, okay, I forgive them, like legit forgive them. Like, if you don't open your heart and forgive the person who is the cause of the trauma, which I totally understand is difficult to do, especially if the trauma is like horrific. But if you don't let them go, you'll still be energetically connected to them. So the healing is not 100%. If you want to, continue on with spiritual evolution and expansion, at some point you will need to let that person go. And be like, I forgive you, I release you, I let you go. You go your way and I go my way. We don't need to be connected any longer. But remember, you are doing this for you. You're not doing this for anyone else. You're doing this for you, and you're doing this for love. Ultimately, we're all one. And I don't want to go too esoteric, but we're all, reflections of creation. We all come from one source. Just imagine Earth like a university where different souls or different consciousness come and they have, a variety of different experiences to learn from and grow from and expand. And sometimes these experiences are dark and shitty and depressing. They are difficult to make sense of. I totally get that. But we have the power to change our reality and elevate it, to start vibrating at a higher frequency. So it's more to do with love and compassion and excitement and playfulness and all the good things, we want in life. Abundance. And I'm going to speak about, add it here again, if you're not tired of me talking about it. That this is why meditation is so helpful. I wouldn't be able to grasp these concepts or make sense of reality had I not, start taking a break from my mind and start operating more from my heart, more from an expansive state. Because The way we operate from our mind, it's inherently a very like conservative point of focus. That's not wrong, that's not right. It's just the way the mind is created or programmed. But our hearts are way more expansive. We can get a bigger picture by taking a break and slowing down our minds. And I personally have done so much healing this year myself. I was shocked that I was holding on to so many emotions from the past, and I was shocked that they were literally just stuck energy in my body. And I had a emotionally troubled childhood, and I grew out of it and I grew up, and I was like, oh, if I can go through that, I am so strong, I'm so resilient, I can go through anything, I don't cry. But I was wrong. That was just like a coping mechanism. Inside, I was sad, I was scared, I was hurt, I was confused, I didn't feel safe, and I had no idea. I didn't know that. I was completely oblivious to it. Now looking back, I know that my soul was niggling me, that girl, you have some work to do, you have some inner work to do, you have some emotional healing to do. But I didn't perceive of those suggestions until I started meditating. So I became an observer of my thoughts and my emotions and not get, stuck in them. So I'm not my thoughts and my emotions. I'm just observing them, from a little bit of a distance and taking notes without judgment. And this is what created a lot of self-awareness. And this automatically triggered a lot of healing. Like stuff came up and I just dealt with it. Everything that was brought up to the surface, I just released it. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it was all rainbows and butterflies, and no, it was not pleasant. Like I said, feeling old emotions surface up it's not pleasant. because the only way to release them is to feel them, and then to hold yourself in like a warm, comfy, energetic space. But once you release these lurking emotions and these lurking energies that are holding you down, that are not serving you, and you start emerging on the other side, there's like a whole new other exciting reality to start experiencing. If we want to expand spiritually, if we want to expand our consciousness, if we want to feel safe, we want to feel joyful, content, fulfilled, relaxed, abundant, just overall we want to feel right, we need to take an inventory of our energetic field. Is there something I need to process? Is there something that is not serving me? Is there something I'm holding on to? Once we release these emotions, these traumas, we are making space in our body for fresh, new energy to take its place. If we start this healing with a good intention, like I see myself as a divine, sacred being, and with the loving energy of the universe, I heal myself. You are going to start vibrating at a higher frequency, and the higher the frequency, the more stuck emotions and stuck energy is going to surface and release itself. And it's going to be different for each one of us. So you're going to start building your own personal relationship with the energy of the universe. Just saying that got me excited. And then just see what happens. But please be patient with yourself. Like Sadhguru said, that we spend years, sometimes our entire life in academic education. But when it comes to inner work, we expect changes to be overnight. It doesn't work that way. If we have been operating under one software most of our lives, and now we're trying to rewire our brain and rewire our energetic field, we need to be patient with that process. As I wrote in my journal recently, just one breath at a time. That's my focus. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this here, and I don't know if this video was any shorter than my other ones, but I really hope you found that useful, and I hope that it inspired you to put this into practice. As always, have an awesome week, and I will see you guys next week. Bye bye. Whew. oh, I just became so freaking bright.